So one of the things that I wanted to make sure to do is that I wasn't too quick after the Nintendo Switch 2 sales started to kind of come in to say, all right, this system is going to do as well as this, or it's going to do this or that, or any of these other things that sometimes people can predict or kind of get a bit, I would say, eager about. But I think at this point, if you look at the start that the Nintendo Switch 2 has had, and if you look at the continued momentum of the software and just what people are actually going out there and buying and playing, I think it's fairly safe to say that this system is going to be a massive success, and it has the opportunity, not saying it's going to, but now I'm kind of shifting more towards the opportunity of it being as popular or potentially even more popular somehow than the Nintendo Switch 1. And we're going to jump into the newest record that the Switch 2 has smashed that's making me think, well, wait a minute, hold up here. They haven't even released the big Zelda, the big Mario, the big Pokemon, the big Animal Crossing, and they're breaking records left and right. So let's go ahead and jump right into this here, plus a bunch of big updates for Nintendo Switch 2 games. It's going to be a good one. So we're starting off in Japan, the land of the rising sun. We got the Nintendo Switch 2 has actually broken the PlayStation 2's 25-year plus record when it comes to first month sales in Japan. Now, this news comes from Japanese news site Yomiuri Shimbun, and they revealed the Nintendo Switch 2 has broken the sales record set by Sony's influential, never forgotten at this point, best-selling system of all time when it comes to consoles, the PlayStation 2. The Nintendo Switch 2 has sold 1,538,260 units tracked by Famitsu in its first month. Now, here's the kicker, because if you compare that to the PlayStation 2, the PS2 sold 1,134,862 units. Now, Nintendo's had other systems like the GBA and other portables that have done almost as much, or right up there, the DS and I think the GBA were up there, but this is the first time for anything that's been considered a home console overall, so we're comparing it to that. But here's the crazy thing. That 1,538,260 number that broke the record by hundreds of thousands of units, that's actually not the accurate count, because it does not count the Nintendo shipped systems themselves. So the My Nintendo store in Japan that had over 2.2 million people paging it. Now, that doesn't mean it sold 2.2 million. That's just the interest. But we don't know how much they sold through the My Nintendo store, but I'm guessing that Nintendo did have a very good stock or allocation. You can probably tack on hundreds of thousands of more systems to that 1.5 plus million number. So since I've been covering systems, there's been no system that has ever started off this hot and has not continued on to be incredible when it comes to sales. Usually when a system doesn't do well or if it underperforms, you can kind of see the signs very early. Maybe the first few weeks you have people buying it, but then after that it tapers off. We saw that with the Wii U, we saw with the Nintendo 3DS, it never really got off to a big start, and then later they had to really readjust, but that launch definitely hurt them. Even with the Nintendo Wii, it didn't sell as much as what we saw here with the Nintendo Switch 2. With the Nintendo Switch 1, Nintendo kind of underestimated exactly how popular the system was going to be, and then in the coming years, it started stacking up sales, especially in the COVID year in 2020, and then after that in 2021, 2022, those were some of the best years for the Nintendo Switch 1, also a little bit before that as well. So I do feel that the Nintendo Switch 2 already has that huge marketing brand that essentially just props it up as a very simple, easy, and effective way for people to know exactly what you're getting. Very similar to the PlayStation 2. Here's the PS1. Oh wow, I like the PS1. That was the first console to ever sell 100 million units overall worldwide. Okay, here's the PS2. Simple, clean cut. All right, it's the sequel to this thing that I love that everybody bought. I want this next one, and I think that's what we're seeing here with the Nintendo Switch 2 in the modern day. It's clean, it's normal, there's nothing crazy about it, it's what you love, but even better. The PS2 was the same thing, it's what you love, but even better overall, and it has a killer lineup of games that are coming to the system. So to me, if you're looking at that, this is one of the main reasons why the Nintendo Switch 2 is doing so well. And listen, you cannot rule it out that the Nintendo Switch 2 could potentially hit up to where the Switch 1 is at this point. If you're looking at the momentum and if you're looking how Nintendo hasn't even released their biggest system sellers just yet. Now, they've got some good stuff, Mario Kart World, that's going to be a huge system seller, selling for the duration of the Nintendo Switch 2's life. Donkey Kong Bonanza is becoming a big system seller, but the 3D Mario game, the Animal Crossing game, Super Smash Brothers, a brand new Zelda, there's so many other titles that Nintendo has that can push hundreds of thousands to millions of units per each big release. And then you combine that with what's already coming this year with Metroid Prime 4, Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star-Crossed World, Age of Imprisonment, Kirby Air Riders, Pokemon Legends ZA, plus what about the Gen 10 Pokemon game that you know is going to happen as well. There is a lot, and this system's going to be in very high demand for the next number of years, in my opinion. But what do you guys think about my analysis here with the Nintendo Switch 2 and how it broke the PS2's first month console sales record? Let me know in the comment section below. But before we get into the next topic, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are someone new, hit that like button if you're enjoying these type of videos, and click that notification bell to get my vids as soon as they drop. And let me know what the most surprising thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 sales are for you in the comment section below. Now let's go ahead and jump into some big Nintendo Switch 2 game updates. These are titles that a lot of you guys are anticipating, and I wanted to discuss what is happening with them. So we've got a Borderlands 4 update for the Nintendo Switch 2. We finally got a release date. We know that the game is coming out in September for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series and PC. So people were wondering, well, wait a minute, when is the Nintendo Switch 2 version coming out? Now we have that from Mr. Randy Pitchford himself. He announced it on Twitter, and the game will be dropping on October 3rd for the Nintendo Switch 2. So definitely exciting for Borderlands fans out there, and exciting for people who want a competent portable version of Borderlands. Now, they did have Borderlands on the Nintendo Switch 1, and I think that did well enough. And then there was the Borderlands on the PS Vita that was not very good, but I think that on the Nintendo Switch 1, it was decent or passable overall if you're not trying to get it on Steam Deck or something like that. So the fact that they have an actual in-house built version of Borderlands 4 for the Nintendo Switch 2, that is a first for the company Gearbox when it comes to developing on the platform, and that is a first when it comes to the Borderlands series as well. So this should be a pretty good version of the game. Now, don't expect it to be up to the level of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series, considering the power differences between them, but I still think that it's going to be a good version of the game that you can play anywhere that you want. Some people were asking, why is it a little bit later? And I would guess that they have to take a little bit extra time when it comes to getting the game ready to go, lot check, certification, and the dev kits that they received probably in the middle of the development of the game on PlayStation and Xbox. So since you don't have it right at the same time, other issues and things kind of come about. Randy Pitchford talked about how game development is very difficult overall, so he was probably alluding to those type of things when it comes to developing for a different system that is not x86 overall and has different processes for what you want to do in your type of game. GPU or CPU intensive, DLSS, all these different factors that are available when it comes to certain aspects of the Nintendo Switch 2 compared to Xbox and PlayStation. So what do you guys think about Borderlands 4 coming out on October 3rd for the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section below. But now we're going to move on to a big update for Pokemon Legends ZA. It was really cool to see more of this game shown off at the recent Pokemon Presents. The Pokemon Presents itself was the typical Pokemon Presents. People go in there expecting NSO games and all this other stuff and all these different GBA announcements and stuff, and you never get that. I don't go in with those type of expectations. I felt that, hey, look, I just want to see more footage of Pokemon Legends ZA running on the Nintendo Switch 2 and not the Nintendo Switch 1, so we can get that silky smooth 60 frames per second, better resolution, and Game Freak did not disappoint in that sense. Now, the game, in terms of graphics-wise, still isn't up to the level that you would like to see, or at least a lot of people would like to see, but at least we don't have the same, I would say, debacle that was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and even to a way lesser degree, Pokemon Legends Arceus, where people are like, man, the resolution's a little crusty, the frame rate can get a little chop here and there, but overall it's okay. But now we have it running, looks like at 1080p, 60 frames per second at the bare minimum. So I will take that because Pokemon Legends ZA, this is a full-on action RPG. They revealed new Mega Evolutions. Some people are kind of torn on the Mega Dragonite. Some people think it looks really stupid looking. I think it looks pretty cool because they're taking the design from Dragonair, the wings on the head, and kind of expanding that a little bit, the ball on the tail, and you still have that base of how Dragonite looks. Dragonite is one of my favorite Pokemon from the original gen, and I also love Charizard, but we already have a Mega on that. So I do think that it looks pretty cool. The action RPG system, they talked about there's going to be alpha Pokemon in the game. They talked more about the rankings. They showed off new characters. I think that it's going to be a solid action RPG to where they really kind of take that next step. You know, there was a baby step with Pokemon Legends Arceus in terms of getting more action into a main game, and now we have a full-on action RPG with cooldowns and different type of, I would say, side quests and RPG stuff. That's really dope. So I like what they're doing here with Pokemon Legends ZA. I think it's going to be a solid Pokemon experience, and it's very different from Pokemon Legends Arceus. Some people maybe would have wanted them to just say, hey, let's just get a Pokemon Legends Arceus, but in a different region. But they actually went with a different whole style, tone, and flavor with the ZA rankings and some of the rooftop battles and some of the other things that you can do in this game. So yeah, just looking forward to playing it myself. I think it's going to be a solid game. Now, will it be better than Pokemon Legends Arceus? Well, we have to wait and see on that one. But at least we know off the top that it's going to be running better on the current supported platform overall. So to me, avoiding that debacle is probably the best thing. And of course, for players out there, gameplay wise, yeah, you want to see the game, especially an action RPG, run at 60 FPS. You don't want to see a bad resolution overall. So definitely good that they're using at least a bit of that Nintendo Switch 2 power, because there were some people who felt that there would not be a 60 FPS or Switch 2 upgrade for this game after they first revealed the game just for the Nintendo Switch 1, and were very coy and weren't really showing too much of the Nintendo Switch 2 version up until now at this point. And another thing that wasn't in the presentation, but I felt was a pretty big announcement, was the fact that there is going to be a Pokemon Legends ZA Nintendo Switch 2 bundle. Now, you have to just kind of pull it back just a little bit here because the console itself isn't going to have any type of special Pokemon theme. I personally felt that Nintendo would go with a ZA bundle, just package the game in there. You save a little bit of money on that because the bundle is going to be $499.99, and the game is $70 if you want it on the Nintendo Switch 2, so you get the game for $50. So I do feel that that is going to be a big seller for Pokemon fans out there that haven't really pulled the trigger yet on getting a Nintendo Switch 2, but now they see this bundle, they see a game that they want and say, okay, I'll get it at this point. But I will say this overall, this system is going to have a number of big games. As we get closer and closer to the holiday, as now some more of the expanded audience are starting to pick up on the Nintendo Switch 2, I do think that it's expanding outside of just the super core people that were there waiting on day one. It's now some of the other people that are seeing stuff like Donkey Kong and seeing Mario Kart and seeing Pokemon and saying, okay, well, I think I'm going to get the system now that there's a few games that I want to play. So if I were you, yes, you can kind of get this when this does drop. The bundle will be dropping on October 16th, the same day as the game. You can do it, but I'm guessing, considering how many Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart World bundles there have been, I'm guessing Nintendo's going to have this in really high stock. And we know that the Mario Kart World Bundle is temporary, so maybe they're going to replace the Mario Kart World Bundle with this Pokemon Legends ZA bundle going forward past 2025 and then heading into 2026. So we'll see about that. But what do you guys think about this here when it comes to all the different Pokemon news? Let me know in the comment section below. But now we're going to move on to the final topic here, and that is Ubisoft. They still have some tricks up their sleeves for the Nintendo Switch 2. Actually, they need to show us the first tricks because they haven't really had anything at this point, but we do know that Star Wars Outlaws is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and it does seem, based off some information that's out there from Steven Totillo over there from GameFile, he's stating that, hey, look, Ubisoft is saying that there's going to be more games that are unannounced at this point. We do know that Assassin's Creed Shadows, that's probably coming over. Rainbow Six Siege, it looks like that game was also leaked. That's coming over. Nintendo supposedly still having a Nintendo Direct in July, according to Nate the Hate. So it looks like some of these games will be announced and dated at the next Nintendo Direct. So here's what Mr. E. Guimond had to say. He is the CEO of Ubisoft about Star Wars Outlaws, because the game did miss its original sales target on Xbox and PlayStation, but he's hoping that the Nintendo Switch 2 version can kind of shape things up just a little bit, because there was some choppy waters overall. And yes, it is a Nintendo Switch 2 game keycard, but he does expect it to do really well, because the Nintendo Switch 2 version seems to have some improvements as well when it comes to the structure and base. And of course, starting out, there was a big update that released after the game, and the people that bought the game at the beginning, it wasn't a part of the actual reviews of it. So the Nintendo Switch 2 version is going to maybe have a little bit of extra time when it comes to development, a little bit of extra time when it comes to having that big patch they put in afterwards that made the game better with some of the stealth sections and the AI and things. So we'll see how it does on the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not super confident in Ubisoft overall with this game. I'm not really sure, but I do think that Star Wars Outlaws does provide a unique experience that nobody else really has when it comes to a big AAA open world game on the Nintendo Switch 2 platform, outside of like a few things here and there, but nothing on the level of Star Wars Outlaws, which is one of the best graphically looking games on Xbox and PlayStation right now at this point. So we'll see how it runs and looks on the Nintendo Switch 2 going forward, because they've barely shown any footage. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here? A lot of big game updates in addition to Nintendo Switch 2 talk. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.